Our next generation portable is officially named PlayStation Vita.
That's right, Vita does indeed mean life. The apocalypse may be upon us, and the goats may be taking over our towns, and neither of those things are April Fool's jokes. But we can't let either of those things get in the way of our little Vita series here, and March, whilst being a never-ending horror show for the world, it was actually a pretty good month for the Vita. We saw quite a few releases over the month. April's looking a little bit more dodgy because of the virus, but I'll get into that later on. But as usual, first we'll get into the news. Fear spreads. Across the globe, panicked mobs strip stores bare, fighting over the last remaining PlayStation Vitas. And whilst this pandemic may kill your grandma, hey, it's going to do wonders for the Vita ecosystem. Silver linings and all that. And it's definitely something I'm sure Sony are welcoming with open arms. Oh, I've got some new news coming in. Toilet paper? Why would they want that? Is it to clean the Vitas? So, no one bought the Vitas? Really? Well, it seems the Vita now has something in common with Corona Beer. Not even the looters wanted it. With that illuminating news out the way, let's get into what I've been playing this month on the PlayStation Vita. So first up is Explosive Jake. So this is a Bomberman clone, and that's pretty much it. The developers didn't really create anything unique or new. It seems to me like they enjoyed Bomberman and decided to make a clone of it, because that's all this felt like. The goal of the game is to blow up sections of the map looking for a key and a hidden door, and once you've got both you can obviously escape to the next level. Every level has got enemies that travel around on set paths. You can blow them up or you can choose not to. There's no requirement to really kill all the enemies, because the goal of the game is just to find the key and escape through the door. The issue with the game, whilst perfectly fine mechanics wise, is that it just gets extremely repetitive. It's just the same thing over and over. The character controls a little slowly, and so it can take a while to travel around the map and blow everything up you need to blow up. Thankfully the keys and the doors are always in the same location, so once you know where they are and you die on a level, you can just go straight to it. It also means there's not really any replayability. I wish they would have changed things up a little bit here and there, added more of a puzzle element to the gameplay, where they limit the amount of bombs you can use or that type of thing, where just to get a little bit more creative. As it is, it's quite a chore to get through, to be honest. It's a type of game that you play one level, put it down for the day, play another level the next day or leave it for a week. It's not really a game that you can just keep plowing through. It doesn't have that kind of playability to it, and once you've done all levels there's no reason to really replay it. So if you are a big fan of Bomberman and you like that type of gameplay, then hey, pick it up, but it's definitely not going to blow you away. And another game that could have done more of itself, and that's Super Destronaut Land Wars. This is a bit of an odd game, to be honest, because it's got a lot going for it. It's basically a first-person shooter, and you can tell the developers are competent because it actually plays quite well. There's only one issue I have with the actual mechanics of the game, and that's there's no sticky aim. So lining up the target with the analog sticks can be quite awkward. If you ever played like Time Splitters back on the PS2 compared to modern games, those older games are much harder to control with first person shooters just due to the sticky aim that they started developing later on. And so Super Destronaut Land Wars doesn't have that sticky aim, so it can be quite hard to line up shots, small little movements here and there. But yeah, once you get into it, it's a perfectly fine playing first person shooter. The issue is that the mechanics are all there, it plays well, there's just no actual game. It's as if the developers spent all the time mastering the mechanics of the game, but then decided not to make a game because it's only a single level and a few different weapons you can choose from. You just blow up some Space Invaders looking things and that's it. There's no game to it, it's just the same level looping over and over. It's got quite a cool soundtrack, and I wish they would have fleshed it out more, because this could have been something much better than what we've ultimately ended up with. And there isn't a lot of first person shooters on the Vita, so it's kind of a shame that this isn't great content wise. And next up is Bucket Knight. So this is basically a 2D platformer, and your character Bucket Knight wants to buy a house but he's got no money, so now he's on the search for the Holy Grail. Throughout the game, there's 3 different level types. There's a standard platformer where you search around for keys to open doors to get to the end portal to escape to the next level. And there's levels where you're trying to rush through because it's a constant moving level. You know, it's a classic trope in 2D platformers where lava's chasing you or spikes or something like that. So in Bucket Night, it's like spikes raising from the floor and you've got to rush to the top. And the other type of level they have is just floating platforms, so it's a little more tricky than the other platforming levels they have. So they do switch it up a little bit. The issue is everything's just a little rough around the edges. It could definitely do a bit more polish. It also begins to stutter a lot as the game goes on, and that's because you collect money and eventually you can buy the better weapons at the end of the game, and those weapons create a lot more projectiles on the screen, and the more projectiles on the screen, the slower things start running. I noticed a lot of stuttering as the game went on, a lot of performance issues. I also felt that the game could have done with some boss fights here and there, because whilst they do change things up, it's pretty much the same order constantly. It's back to doing the platforming, then it's the creeping death level, then it's the floating platform level, it's back to the dungeon platforming again, so it's just the same thing over and over. So having segments of boss fights in the game, it kind of creates a better flow, I think, and so that's what Bucket Night's missing. And the next game on the list is Thunderpaw. Now this game should be used as an example whenever you have classes for game design of how to mess up your game, because they've got all the mechanics of a platformer, but then they start adding things on top to ruin it all. The basic premise of the game is every level you've got to kill enemies within the map, and once you kill them all you can then get through the exit. The first issue is the gun itself. The length of its fire range is tiny, and so it means you need to get very close to enemies to kill them. And then every time you take a shot, your character gets pushed back a few pixels, so you're constantly fighting to push forward to counteract the pushback. And if you think that's awkward enough, the enemies themselves take ages to die, so you're shooting them for a while. And then the platform you're standing on can be quite small sometimes, and so every time you could get knocked off the platform from your own pushback, or the enemy hits you once and your character flies off and dies. It's just, individually these elements won't be too bad, but all together they just kind of, it's like chaos working against each other. And it still boggles my mind how during the process of making the game that no one was saying this isn't actually fun to play. But yeah, that's Thunderpaw. And the next game is Ice Cream Surfer. So this is a shmup. It's definitely not bullet hell, and I guess I'd describe it more as a cute 'em up, a bit like Parodius. The art style is very cutesy. I actually really enjoyed all the little animations and the creativity. I think it might be based off a comic, I'm not sure. The gameplay itself is very basic if you've played any kind of shoot in the past, and you'll find it actually quite easy. And as a shoot 'em up fan, I actually quite enjoyed my time with this game, going through it. The bosses are all very creative. There was a few instances of enemies being off screen, like bugs, so they could still shoot you but you can't kill them because they're off the screen. And the first level of the game runs very poorly. Once you pass the first level, it all runs fine. For some reason the first level's badly optimized. I'm kind of glad it's not a bullet hell shmup as well, because the characters are oddly shaped. They're all like ice cream cones or other characters, and they're not great for maneuvering around bullets just from the odd shape they are. There's also only really 2 characters that are worth playing as, and that's due to the firing range. 2 of them can shoot across the whole screen. The rest are all very close range characters, and it feels like they're just throw-in because they don't really add anything to the game, and it's much harder to play with those characters. But other than that, if you're looking for a basic shmup, yeah, I'd probably play this. There is obviously much better shmups on the Vita, but if you're stuck with nothing to play, then give Ice Cream Surfer a go. And now for the best game I played this month, and that's Duck Souls, of no relation obviously to the infamous Dark Souls series, though that would be quite fun. This is a hardcore platformer, and it's 100 levels of manoeuvring a duck to collect an egg on each level. Now if you've seen my past videos, you know I have a bit of a penchant for hardcore platformers. I think it was last month I did 4-0 and I really enjoyed that game, and this is a similar vein. It's got a few more mechanics. There's a lot of wall jumping, and it's got a dash mechanic where you can dash in any direction. A bit like Velocity, it's got a teleportation mechanic, but this is more of a short range dash. I was pleasantly surprised how good this game is. It's all designed very well, all the mechanics flow together, level design's great, and it's a slow ramp up as well of easing you into each and every mechanic because they don't at any point tell you what to do. It's one of those games where you learn from the design of the game itself, and you can tell a really good game that way, where you don't need things explaining. The gameplay is intuitive, and the back and forth of you in the game teaches exactly what you need to know. I do wish that after you complete the game, there was a reason to replay it. There is a hard mode, but I didn't really notice any difference between that and the normal mode, and you can unlock different hats for your duck cosmetic wise. But yeah, I wish there was some incentive to get like 0 deaths on every level to unlock more levels or something like that. But yeah, Duck Souls, I highly recommend this one. And that's all I've played this month, so let's get into what's coming out next month on the PlayStation Vita. So I guess from the outset we'll talk a bit about how the virus is impacting the release schedule. There's quite a few developers and publishers obviously that do have games planned this month, but they can't really confirm the release, and that's just to how things are going right now. Everyone's working from home, and so the schedules are all a bit messed up. For example, I know PlayAsia had 4 pre-orders set for this month for the Vita, and none of them can be confirmed, and they're most likely be pushed back to next month if things begin to return to normal by then. But here are the games that I do know. On the 1st of April, so it's out now, is Random Heroes. Stop an alien invasion by teaming up with a bunch of random heroes. The Earth is being invaded by terrifying aliens. It's up to you and a bunch of random heroes to save the day and stop the invasion. Shoot and jump your way through over 108 levels to stop the alien menace and bring peace to the planet. Will you be able to survive? Feels like we've got an alien invasion already. Also out on April 1st, and I apologise in advance for butchering all of these names, we've got Waroom from Michael Ridsher, I think that's how you pronounce it. Experience a 10-minute dive into the unknown depths of the multiverse. Waroom is an interactive art experience born in the minds of 2 holographic entities, Michael Ridsher and Serge Boulat. It is designed to reveal things about ourselves and measure our imagination. I'm pretty sure this is only 99p or 99 cents. Depending on where you're from, so it's just a quick little experience. On April 7th we've got Rush Rover from Radio. Rush Rover is a 2D top-down shooter game. Compared to other similar games of the genre, the shooting experience is closer to traditional shoot-'em-up games. It includes random map generation, unique weapons, lots of different enemies, exciting boss battles, and a dynamic chiptune soundtrack. On April 14th, we've got a visual novel called Blind Men from Maneater Games. A parody of spy fiction, Blind Men is a boys' love visual novel that follows a young supervillain as he carries out his first big heist. As a nephew of a retired supervillain, there's nothing Keegan wants more than to become one himself. And what better way than to join the League of Evil? All he needs to do is commit a crime to complete his application. Unfortunately, Keegan soon finds himself in more trouble than he could ever have imagined, when his plans are interrupted by a couple of spies from opposing agencies. Well, there really is a game for everyone out there. And on April 21st, we've got Guard Duty from Sick Chicken Studios. Tunbert, loyal guard to the Castle of Wrinklewood, is having a rough day. A little too much ale at the local pub, a lapse in judgment, and the next thing you know, a hooded figure has slipped into the kingdom and kidnapped the princess. An event that will have consequences well into the future. 1,000 years later, in a small orbital station, Agent Starborn is a member of a resistance group embarking on a last-ditch effort to overthrow evil and take back the Earth, a quest rooted in the depths of history. Discover how these 2 playable characters' fates are intertwined, and you might just save humanity in the process. This looks to be a fun point-and-click adventure. It's got that Monkey Island type vibe. Now this next game, they've told me that it could very well get pushed back into May. It all depends whether it gets through QA. And that's Reed Remastered 2 from Pixelink. Reed is back, and the adventure continues, but not like before. Just a tiny little creature, the latest creation of an old supercomputer. Harsh trials and beautiful landscapes await in this challenging pixel art platformer. Can you find all the secrets? Can you reach the end? It's all up to you. And the last game releasing at the end of the month is a mystery game from Sometimes You. All they've told me so far is that it's a puzzle game. And so, that's it for this month. If I missed any games out this month, or if some of those releases or the physical ones I mentioned change, I'll be sure to do a Vita quickie video in the middle of the month to let you know. So that's it for this month. We've got a lot going on at the moment, and I thought this would be a great time to give back. So I thought I'd give a giveaway for the few Vita fans that watch this show. I'll leave a link in the description, but basically a few publishers have given me codes, whether it's Mick at 4 Horses or Evgeny at Sometimes You. So shout out to you guys. I won't do any kind of competition. Just look in the description for the Crash Landed thread. Just go there and post a picture of your Vita collection, whether it's a physical collection or a digital one, and pick the game you want if it's still available, and I'll send you the code. Hope you all stay safe, keep on Vita-ing, and as the great Jerry Springer once said, well, after the dwarfs and cross-dressers had all took themselves out from fighting, take care of yourself and each other. Oh, and Vita Means Life. He didn't say that bit, but he should have.